How are we doing tonight, people? Spurs fans. Oh, I hope I'm reaching out to any of you out there that need a hand. Boy, do we need it. Goodness gracious. Listen, what we got coming up, what we'll discuss tonight, we'll get into it. But the obvious disappointment again in these players, this manager, this squad, this team, the ownership, the club that we know and love as Tottenham Hotspur. It's a damn shame. While you're coming in here, go ahead and give yourselves a round of applause, folks. Come on. You deserve it. Any Tottenham fans out there, you deserve a round of applause. You can't cheer for this team. No point in giving this team a round of applause. So go ahead and give yourselves a round of applause here. Come on, folks. I feel the energy. I need it to come from somewhere. It better be coming from somewhere else. It's not coming from this squad. It's not coming from this team. No inspiration. No hope. No spark. Nothing. This team is head on their feet. They're out at the beach, whatever you want to call it. And it keeps getting worse and worse. Here we are, folks. Welcome to the show. I am your host, De La Spurs, for this evening. Listen, folks, it's the first Monday of March. Not technically the first day of March, but first Monday in March. So I hope your March is going well. I hope the beginning of your year is going well, going strong. Listen, folks, crazy to say, but we are now officially entering a quarter of the year over. That's right. 1/4 of the year is coming to a close. So I hope anybody, if you track your years and quarters, I hope you had a strong quarter. Hope you had a strong start to the year. But you need to have a strong start because time goes by. February just slips by like that. Next thing you know, you're already at the quarter mark. So hopefully you guys had a strong January, a good February, and you're going to come to a good quarterly benchmark, right, in March, right? So hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're doing better than this team, right? Hope you're doing better than this team. Boy, this team is straight garbage, right? I can't believe it. Listen, we're going to get into everything, but first I need to do some beginning logistics here. If you could go ahead, like the video, subscribe to the channel for me, subscribe to De La Spurs YouTube. Also, you can follow me on X. Both of those links are in the description. So go ahead, take a moment, head down there, hit the subscribe, hit the follow button. Also, like this stream. Feel free to throw in a comment while you're down there, either if you're in the live chat commenting live, or if you're watching this on the playback, feel free to just throw a comment about Tottenham, the content that you're seeing, or if it's not even related to those things, feel free to just throw a comment down there. I'll be happy to read them. And, just see what you have to say, whatever your opinion may be. But feel free to do that for me, folks. The more engagement we get, the more content will be coming out. I do have some things in the works as well, some things that I'm planning. Listen, I'm not going to lie. I can't do a lot on this free version of StreamYard, so we're working on that as well on the DL. So, listen, we're going to be making some upgrades at De La Spurs. We're always upgrading, always trying to be better. So just be on the lookout. Stay with me, folks. But yeah, if you follow the X account, subscribe to the YouTube. Once you do, hit the notification bell. I do post when I'm going live. I'll have the post with the link of the live stream in there, so you don't even have to do anything. You don't have to scour YouTube or try to find De La Spurs in the search bar. Just go ahead and hit the post, hit the link in the post. It'll take you right to this live stream. And I'm sure if you see this post, in the future, it will take you right to this playback of the live stream, and then you can go ahead and get to the channel that way. So go ahead and just hit the notification bell so you know when I'm posting, know when I'm going live. I go live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So go ahead and check your local time zone for what I'm doing that. But hey, I really do appreciate it. Really do appreciate it. Now, the moment we all been waiting for. The car crash, man. I wish I had a car crash noise for this. The car crash that was the Fulham Tottenham match. We lost 2-1 at Fulham. Listen, just to kind of give out a small recap before we go ahead and start talking about the starting lineups and all that. Listen, I already said in the previous live streams, this is one of those games that we were going to need to get points in. Out of the 4, really, that I'm thinking we can get points in the next coming games, looking at our schedule. This was one of them. So we failed the test. We failed the test. We conceded early. It was just another terrible performance. Now, what I realized kind of just with how we're playing like this sort of knockdown ball. Like, we're not necessarily trying to pass on the ground. We're not trying to play in triangles. We're not trying to build up with on-the-ground passes. We're just hitting the ball long. And we want either Richarlison or Solanke to somehow get some sort of control to it. We conversion on the ball, win possession, and then push up from there instead of trying to push up naturally through passing. And that is a managerial issue, right? Because we were saying the same things with Frank, right? We're saying this team isn't passing because Frank isn't coaching the passing. Okay, well, the team is still not passing, right? So is it still not being coached, right? I would imagine that we're playing exactly like how Frank played. So is the manager kind of picking up on those same things? Are the tactics that he's playing the same way? Or is there something that he's seeing on the training ground to make him think, okay, even if I wanted to try to do this, this is not something that we're capable of. So we're just going to have to go long and hope that we can win possession higher up on the field, right? Is it a fitness thing? We don't want the players always having to be on the defensive end, right? Whatever it is, we're seeing the same tendencies that we were seeing with Frank. There's not really any improvement other than some pressing here or there that we weren't doing with Frank. I think we were sitting back a lot more with Frank. We're willing to press more with Tudor, but other than that, it's the same old shit. It's the same old BS. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. So we'll go ahead and pull up the starting lineups. I already got it here on this bad boy. So just to go ahead and look at the starting subs, let's see here, or the starting lineup. Let's set the starting subs, excuse me. Oh boy, a lot of orange on the Tottenham side. That's crazy. But oh my God. So as you can see here in the starting lineup, in goal we had Vicario, who I said should have been dropped, right? I would have put Kinski in goal just to have something new, something fresh. Not necessarily saying he's a better shot stopper than Vicario, because I don't think I've seen anything to make him say he's a better shot stopper than Vicario. And Vicario did make some good saves. There's one save in the second half that pretty much saved the game to keep it at 2-1, because I forgot who it was. I think it was Smith Rowe. Yeah, I think it was Emil Smith Rowe was pretty much free on goal. Had a 1-on-1 with Vicario. Vicario stood up, made the save. So that I'm not sure Kinski would have done that in that situation. But I still think Vicario needs to have a seat on the bench. I think there needs to be some refreshment in goal, a new idea, someone who has a different level of passing, different voice out there, and just provide a lift that way. Right. In the back, we have Archie Gray, who played out on the left. Again, I rather had Sousa come on, who eventually did come on for Archie Gray, but still, I don't understand why we're not playing our left back in the left back position. We're playing Archie Gray. We're shoehorning these players, and it makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. And he has the personnel. It'd be different if we have no left back and we're having to do this with RG Gray. We have a left back that's available. Whether he's good enough or not, whether you want to say he's old enough or not, he's up for it or not, we have someone who naturally plays in that position. So play it, right? So you put Archie Gray at left back, Van de Ven Dragosin in the center, Pedro Porro out on the right, just coming back from injury. You have Xavi and Conor Gallagher out wide. This also made no sense to me. What is he doing with this? Midfielders playing a line of 4 midfielders, right? Not necessarily playing. If you want to play with 3 midfielders, that's one thing. You want to play a variation of a 4-1-2, 4-2-1, whatever 4-3. But this formation of a 4-4 with 4 actual midfielders, no wide midfielders or wide players, but just actual 4 inside midfielders is asinine to me. And he's set himself up for failure. There's a reason why we conceded 7 goals in the first 7 minutes. We conceded a goal in the first 7 minutes, and it's funny enough, and I'll talk about it when we talk about the first half. No midfield, right? 4 midfielders, virtually no midfield out on the field, right? Up top, just to close it off, we had Solanke and Kolomwani up top. So those are my critiques of the starting lineup. Again, Souza should have been out left. He should have been playing out left. I would have put Kinski in goal, to be quite honest. I think we need a refresh in goal. Listen, play a Matisse Tell out. Put Xavi Simons in the middle. First of all, play with the 3. Play a 4-3, a 4-3, a 4-1-2, a 4-2-1, however you want to do it. But put Simmons and Conor Gallagher in the midfield with Paulinho. That's your midfield. Or put Basuma, Simons, and Paulinho in the midfield. That's your midfield. I don't understand why he feels like he has to shoehorn Conor Gallagher in there. I don't understand why he feels like he has to put Xavi Simons out wide, right? I'm not saying he was watching Tottenham, but that's something that we've been seeing all season that doesn't work. So it's very frustrating for the interim to come in and continue to do the same things that don't work, right? As if it's going to change because he's doing it. No. Those were my critiques of the starting subs. Just to go ahead and talk about the first half versus the second half. Listen, we'll pull up the first half stats. Let's see statistics. So, as you can see, we are in the blue. Fulham is in the green. So they had 2 expected goals, which is what they scored, 2 goals in the first half. So pretty much on par for what they were trying to do. You see, they had 3 big chances, 18 shots in total. Vicario had to make 2 saves versus their goalkeeper that had to do nothing. He had to do nothing. All right, corner kicks, there was 8. They had 5. I mean, honestly, I remember talking about the gambling line saying more than 4 corners. You should have gone for like more than 4 or 5 or 6, to be quite honest. And you made some more money off of those odds. But looking at the fouls, the passes, tackles, free kicks, yellow cards, as you can see from the momentum map over here to the left, right? They pretty much had all the momentum in the first half, other than maybe us getting some possession, right? In the last bits of the first half, that was it. Conceding a goal within 7 minutes does you no good in any situation, regardless if you're in a relegation fight, going for the Premier League, or just trying to stay within mid-table, right? It just doesn't serve anybody any good. Again, like I said, It's this weird amalgamation of, I don't want to use that word. It's this weird combination of this knockdown football that we're playing, right? We're not trying to pass through the lines. We're not trying to pass to any build-up play. We're not trying to pass to draw the team in. If anything, we're passing the ball just so that we don't lose it. And even then, we're passing the ball so terribly that we still end up losing the ball while we're trying to pass it out, or when we're just doing these long balls and just hoofing it across the field, right? We're losing it. So I wonder if where is the passing? Is there a passing? Here we go. Passes. If you can look to the right here, just ignore that ad. But if you can look to the right here, 293 passes, 22 throws. You can see the passes. They had more passes in the final third, right? They technically had more long balls than us. We had more crosses. Let's see. This is for the first half, correct? No, this is for. Oh, whoops. So I'm gonna go back. Let's go back to passing now. So, passing in the first half, 27% on the long ball. So we weren't even connecting on the third of our long balls. 8 out of 30. We hit 30 long balls in the first half. We only connected on 8. We crossed the ball 10 times. We only connected on 3 of them, right? Accurate passes, we had less. We had more throw-ins. We had more final third entries than them. But what did we do with those passes? I'm not quite sure, to be honest. There was some controversy about that first goal, right? I do agree. I think some of the officiating and everything that goes on is so inconsistent. It's strange to me that you can have a call go one way in one game and then the next game go the completely other way. And to make it even worse, you want to have these referee shows where the refs are coming out. And the thing is, too, with all those panel shows you see when they're talking about the Premier League, you see they get fans, multiple fans. TalkSport, all these people, they have multiple people on the panels talking about that subject, right? Why is it with the referee you're only getting one ref to come out there and talk as if he's a voice for all referees, if every call is going to be subjected to that ref? Either get that referee to come on and talk about the call that he made, or have a panel of refs that come in every show and have them discuss what the call is and get different perspectives. But this one guy just being like, oh, well, this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the hands. Okay, he says he's looking at the hands. So does that signify to the fans, and the way you have just one guy sitting up there, okay, does that mean that all refs are looking at this, or this one ref is looking at this one specific thing in this one moment? And if one ref is looking at one aspect of it in one specific moment on the field, why isn't the other refs looking at that? What is the difference between the two, and why is there a difference? The connection between that is what people have an issue with. Fans, and I'll close it out with this. Fans don't know, I don't know the rules, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you the rules verbatim. I only know rules from whatever people talk about it. That's what I get from it, right? So I don't know the rules, right? This ref obviously knows the rules. So when he says it comes out, I'm looking at the hands, that signifies to me there's something in the rules about the hands being on the back and it being a push, right? If the other ref is saying, well, no, that doesn't matter, it's a matter of the force, okay, then why is that ref reffing games based on the hands being in the back versus this ref that's basing it on the force? And you can sit there and say that's the subjectivity of refereeing in the game, but if you want a better and more consistent product, you got to make that connection somehow. You can't just have two different refs calling the games two different ways, because then you get a situation like with Tottenham when you're in a need of points and you're in a need of goals, that you have goals being wiped out for all different reasons, but yet it's very similar situations. And I guarantee you, if this happens to another team, you're going to see the goal go. I guarantee you, if this happens to another team in a different context, whether the goal is given or not, you're going to hear a completely different reason from, oh, the hands on the back is what I saw, versus the other referee in our game, in the next game versus Fulham, saying, oh, it's a matter of the force. I didn't think there was enough force in it. I guarantee you, if it happens in the next game week, hell, if it happens to us again, whether the goal is given or not, you're going to hear a completely different reason as to why. And some people may say that's what's good about the game. That's what makes a referee a referee. That subjectivity, that gray zone is what helps the game. Whatever it is, it doesn't make sense. And then you want to have people come out and explain it to us, okay, this is what they're looking at. This is what they're looking for. But they're all looking at different things and looking for different reasons as to not give the goal or to give the goal, right? Because they make the decision at the end of the day. So when they make that decision in the snap of the back of their, like when they make that snap decision, right? Before they go to VAR, before they do whatever, they have to make that decision in that moment. So they're all looking for different things in that moment. If they all goes back to VAR and they bring in all these people and they go over the rule book and they do it that way and review it, and then they make the decision, which I imagine that's how it goes, but I don't know, then that's how that should operate, right? But if it's a matter, if the referee is going to come out and say, I'm looking for this, you have different referees looking at different things in different moments. If VAR can't come in and make that connection so that all the referees are actually adhering to a cohesive decision-making system, then you're just going to get scattergun decisions like this. You're going to get different referees coming out and justifying it. Because again, like I said, I guarantee you, this happens again next game week, that referee is going to have a completely different decision on what he's looking for. And it won't make sense to fans. You're going to say, well, what about this? This referee's looking for this. So you got 7 different referees looking for 7 different things. Why can't the referees all be looking at one thing? Isn't that what the rules are for? So that's kind of my spiel on the refereeing. Like, I get it. It sucks. But again, as well, we play like shit. So we shouldn't be relying on a referee call to get us back in the game. I think the last game it stung a little bit more, right? Because it's Arsenal, and it's a rivalry game. In this game, I mean, it is a London derby. Don't get me wrong, but nah, it's completely different. I shouldn't say completely different, but the way that it's called, it was called completely different, right? Even though it was literally in the same context, it's called completely different. Whether it would be a different situation if they were both called a goal, but they both gave the goals for different reasons, right? Or if they were both not goals and they both give different reasons for why it's not a goal. That's one thing. But for one to not be a goal, and then one to be a goal, and then they're both looking at different things as to why they aren't a goal. It's like, how is anyone supposed to keep up with that decision making and you could say you have the rule books, yes. But I imagine when you want to make those changes to the rules, you have to go back to decisions like this. These decisions hopefully get documented. I imagine they would. Whenever VAR is issued, that it gets documented on what happened, what was the context of the situation, what was the outcome, right? What was the ref's decision? What was the VAR decision? What happened in the game, right? So when they go back and read this and they see all these refs have different things that they're looking for, I don't know how they're going to sit there and try to come together and make a cohesive decision on how this rule should be changed, or this is what we need to be all looking for next, or this is how VAR can improve. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. So that's kind of my spiel on the refereeing. To get into the subs, I'm sorry. I didn't talk about the second half. Second half for this, let's go back to this. Second half, right? Just to quickly go over the second half. Listen, we got the goal where Charleston came on, got the goal. Archie Gray with the assist, right? Um, yeah, it's so nice, lovely. But other than that, really didn't do much as far as that opportunity. We made the subs, right? Subs came on, and to be quite honest, it's really you kind of put players in their natural positions, right? You make the subs, and the game goes a little bit different now. You put a Matisse Tell out there, and hold on, we'll pull the subs back up again. So just so you can see who went out there for who. So you had Sarr come in for Gallagher, a midfielder for a midfielder. Okay. You had Richarlison go out for Xavi Simmons. All right, that's fine. Matisse Tell for Kolo Muani. All right, I get that. And then you had Souza come on for Basuma, and then Kevin Danzo for Dragonson. So I imagine with Danzo, since he's coming back from injury, he can't play a full 90 minutes, right? Souza, I don't know why he's coming on in the 80th minute. He should have came on a whole lot sooner than that. Matisse Tell, he came on, right? Was promising, showed some promise, and was showing that he was willing to take players on, was occupying space and time, able to give players time and opportunity to get in position to do something. Richarlison comes on, gets the goal. As the finisher, he does. You can give him an opportunity; he'll be able to finish it if you give him enough opportunities. We gave him, enough, and he was able to put it in the back of the net. Sarr really didn't do much in this game, but again, another able body out there in the midfield. So it's funny, you make these subs, right? And you can see Matisse Tell for Kolo Muani. So Matisse Tell go out for Kolo Muani out in that position. Richarlison comes out on the left, goes in for him. What they do is that Kolo Muani and Matisse Tell switch positions. Oh, I'm sorry, no. Richarlison and Matisse Tell switched positions. So Richarlison was up top. Matisse Tell was wide on the left, right? The reason why managers do this is because if they make the like-for-like subs, it'll be easier for the manager to make those adjustments. So in most cases, when a manager makes a sub, he's going to try to not make the like-for-like sub so it's not as obvious, but the players will get in their designated positions most of the time, right? So even though for example, even though Souza came in for Basuma, who was in the midfield, right? He came in for Basuma, trade positions with Archie Gray. So Archie Gray was then in the midfield. Souza was playing out left in his natural position, right? João Palhinha stayed in. And then you switched with Matisse Tell and Richarlison. So Richarlison's in his natural position, Matisse Tell in his natural position, right? You have Sarr, who is also, he was played out left. But, as you can see, once you started putting some players in their natural positions, obviously a center back for a center back, but that was at the very end of the game. You put players in their natural position, the team starts to play a little bit better. Even though we weren't good enough to get another goal, it definitely looked better. It looked more cohesive. It looked like the players were more up for it. There was more of an understanding. Now, it was still kind of the same knockdown ball BS that I don't like seeing, but like I said, when Matisse Tell got on the ball, willing to take on players. Souza, when he got on the ball, willing to take on players. Kevin Danzo getting in on the tackles. Palhinha doing what he does best. Just protect the back line, protect the midfield a little bit, let everybody else do their thing. And when you kind of let the players do what they do best, it looks better. The fans got into it once we got the goal. We were able to get a goal with Richarlison, and it just kind of kick-started from there. So for me, yeah, it's like I don't understand why Tudor didn't with the starting lineup that I named. I don't understand why Tudor didn't go with that. It just doesn't make sense to me why he has to play these players out of position like this. And then when he makes the subs, he makes the right subs, and the team looks way better. and we get a goal. And it's like, why couldn't you just start out with that? What's stopping you from starting out with that team? It'd be different if he started out with the correct team, and then this is how the squad ended at the end of the match, right? But this is how the squad ended at the end of the match because all the players in their natural positions eventually got burned out, and we had to make the subs. That's a whole nother situation, a whole nother context to the loss, right? And I think as much as it would still feel like crap that we lost, you would get a lot better sense of maybe he gets the grasp of this team. Maybe the players would be able to buy in because what he's doing is making sense. Whether or not we're getting the results, that's a matter of application and trying in the game and all that other stuff. But if the players are set up right, they're gonna do what they do best in their natural positions. It's going to make it a lot easier for them to try to get a hold of themselves and the team and the squad and make an impact in games and actually be able to get some goals. And then once if we get some goals, we can maybe get some results, a draw or a win, and we get some points on the board, right? So just to go to the last little crazy, is absolutely wrong from the starting lineup. I mean, the subs were correct, but that's only so much. That's only so much. That only means so much. And funny enough, we're seeing the same. We're seeing the same sort of uh, tendencies that we've been seeing with Thomas Frank, right? Because we were saying with Thomas Frank, oh, he, excuse me, with Thomas Frank, oh, he sets up the team so poorly. He sets them up to sit back in the first half that by the time it's halftime, the game is virtually over. He makes his substitution. He makes his changes at halftime. Yes, the team looks better. Yes, there's an improvement, but we need to be doing that on the front foot from the very beginning. And we're seeing the same things with Tudor. He's making the changes late and not really grasping the fact that we need to be aggressive and be on the front foot versus reacting and being on the back foot or making these substitutions on the back end. And we're seeing an impact in the second half that we need in the first half. We're seeing the fight that we need at the end of the game. And that's on Tudor because he's not setting the team up to be right. And that's also on the players that until everything is set up right and that it works for you, that's when you try. Now, yes, that makes sense. You want the team to be set up the way you want it to be set up, but you need to be giving 100% regardless if you're playing in your position or not, regardless if you agree with the tactics or not, because this is a life or death situation for the club. We could be relegated. Your wages could be cut, right? Let's pull there's a story here. Hold on. There's a story here about how, and I'm not sure how true this is, right? This is just Twitter. So don't know how true this is. Twitter is its own monster, but got this pulled up here, and I'm let's see. Share this screen. Here we go. All right, so from what you can see here, I want to zoom in on this actually. That's a little bit better. So, see your Tottenham players face wages, and this just on X, right? So don't know how true this is at the end of the day, but I just thought this was interesting that I saw. Tottenham players face wage cuts if relegated from the Premier League. Most contracts include clauses to lower salaries, vast majority by 50%. In event of going down, provisions placed in all deals under levy, so Spurs have financial protection. So you face wage cuts naturally because in the championship, not the Champions League, but championship, right? There's less money to pay out to teams than there is in the Premier League. There's not the same TV contracts. They don't have the same marketing deals. They just don't have that same clout or whatever to get the money that they need to pay out the teams like they do for the Premier League. So when Tottenham, when they're buying players and everything like that, what they account for is that one, they're going to be getting money from themselves, what they generate as a club. There's also money they get from being in the Premier League and where they finish in those positions, right? So obviously, if you're the champion, as the winner, you get money. Not only do you get the trophy, you get the accolades, you get the golden badge on your shoulder in the next year, right? Your club earns money from winning. If you're in the top four, you win money. Not as much as you were winning if you won the Premier League, but you get money from being in the top four. You get money from being in the top six. You also get money from the European competition that you're in. So they pay you for being in those competitions, right, as well. So for a long time, for as long as we've been competing in those competitions, as long as we've been in the Premier League, Tottenham has been putting into account for when we play out players, when we're doing this, that we're getting money from being in the Premier League. But once that Premier League money stops, I'm not saying Tottenham is going to go broke from it, but your operating costs instantly go above what you're bringing in because you have your money, I would say, nearly cut in half by going into the championship. They generate, I would probably say, half of what the Premier League generate. So the money that Tottenham can be receiving, and I'm not saying Tottenham, well, we can say actually Tottenham has been finishing near the top end of the Premier League in the most recent years, up until this last 2 or 3 years. So you could say they've been getting a good chunk of the money. And then not only do they get a good chunk of the money, we also generate our revenue pretty well. We got deals set up. We got deals that we could still sign as far as stadium sponsor and all that stuff that could bring us even more money. So as far as the money we were operating on when we're signing players, when we're spending 200, 300 million in 3 or 4 different managers, right? In account to those contracts with the players we're signing is the money that we're getting in the Premier League. So once that gets cut in half, right, instantly almost everything in Tottenham, including the players, is going into the red because the money that you're bringing in, which a lot of the things that we have, folks, by the way, is already still in the red, like the stadium. That's still in the red just because it doesn't get brought up a lot, doesn't get talked about a lot. We're still paying that stadium off. There's still aspects of things of like the hotel and all the stuff we're doing as far as the what would you say, the real estate side of things with the land around Tottenham. Those things are still in the red. We're still paying those things off. So the money that we were getting in the Premier League was something that we were accounting for to not only pay players, but to pay that off as well. So once that gets cut in half, not only do the wages for what we pay the players, but for everything else that we could be using that money for, utilizing it for at the club, all those things get put in the red as well. So you're talking about a situation where you have multiple sectors of Tottenham Hotspur that are in the red just from being in the championship, i.e. the most important thing being the players. And once the player wages are cut in half, guess what? Players aren't going to want to be there anymore. They're going to want to be sold. Now, the good thing is, and as you can see here, there's been provisions put in place in all the deals, so there's some financial protection. A lot of those financial protections are as such that, one, you can't just leave the club because the club gets relegated, all right? Some players have that clause in there. Some players don't. I imagine since we had never imagined going into the championship, that clause is not written in there. So I'm not sure about necessarily that. But I imagine there's also some other financial protections written in there as far as of how many wages we can pay off, if there's any financial problems with Tottenham, if we can put some wages on hold, or we can do this with the wages or do that with the wages. If the player does this, can we take some wages back? Things of that nature that get delegated. I don't know the details of such things, so I'm not even gonna, pretend that I know what each player has written in their contract. But It says here there's some financial protections. I imagine that's what those protections look like. But that's a real situation as well with going into the championship that the player wages get cut. They get cut in half. And for some of the young players who are saying, hey, that's still more than I was expecting ever to get paid playing the sport, good for them. They'll still want to play. They'll still want to try. For the Xavi Simons and Kolo Muanis and Van de Vens and Christian Romeros, who have not only already made millions of dollars playing football, but we're continue to make millions of more in playing football. They're going to be saying, man, F this. Why the hell would I stay here with my wages cut in half? I'm already not getting paid that much here at Tottenham, right? Conor Gallagher with $200,000 is the most any player is getting paid at Tottenham. So you're talking about the Romero, the Van de Vens, Xavi Simons, right? You could even say Son Heung-min at one point, right? They're all not getting paid as much as what Conor Gallagher is getting paid now. So you can only imagine what their wages are. Imagine what their wages are now. And these are the players that are pursued by some of the top clubs in the world that would be willing to pay them those wages, right? Forget what their performances are. In today's game, those clubs are willing just to pay the money just to take the risk on if these players can be as half as good as what they've seen them at Tottenham in some moments. The flashes they've seen at Tottenham, right? Because there's not been a lot of bright moments, especially in the past 2 or 3 years. There hasn't been a lot of bright moments, right? So they're just hoping to see the flashes that they've seen at Tottenham. They're willing to pay the 60 to 70 millions just to see the flashes of what they had at Tottenham. So those players are looking at it and they said, man, F this. Why would I stay here at Tottenham? I could be going somewhere else getting paid millions just to be sitting on the bench, just to be a bench warmer. Nah, man, forget that. Forget that. So it's very important that we keep in mind here that we'll put this DEFCON 2. We're kind of wrapping up on this topic. That, first of all, the relegation threat is real. The relegation battle is real. All right. This is one thing that we need to keep in mind. Relegation battle is real. Okay. This is not a joke anymore. This is not something that we can say we're too big to go down. It's a reality. As you're seeing these teams that we're playing, they're not afraid of us, right? It'd be different if we were the Tottenham with Antonio Conte, the Tottenham with Mourinho, right? The Tottenham with Pochettino. Even the Ange Tottenham, some teams were afraid because they knew that we could try to pass the ball a little bit. We had some pace when we were passing the ball, right? So even they were scared a little bit. But now, no team is afraid of us. Every team, including Wolves, who are in last place, about to get relegated, every team that plays Tottenham now either knows or believes they can get something out of the game. There's teams like Arsenal, Manchester City, all them teams. Well, I shouldn't say Manchester City, but teams like Arsenal, Liverpool, right, where it's a definite Chelsea. It's a definite 3 points. Thank you very much. Take our 3 points with the toy in the bag, right? Put the toy in the bag with the 3 points, right? Put the napkins in the straw in the bag next to the 3 points. Make sure they don't touch each other. I don't want the napkins getting wet because they're laying on top of the 3 points. So put the napkins in a little plastic bag separate from the 3 points that's already in the bag. That's what they're saying. They're giving us instructions on how they want the 3 points delivered to them. The Chelseas, the Liverpools, the Arsenals. And then you have teams like a Sunderland. You have teams like a West Ham. You have teams like a Burnley. Teams like Fulham that come into these games and they're saying, as much as it is Tottenham, it's a big stadium, big team. I think we got something. We can get something from this team. We can get something from this game. We don't have to sit here and sit on our hands and wait for them to strike first. We can strike first. And guess what? we're not even sure if they're going to strike back. They don't even look like they're willing to fight back if we did try to fight them. So let's go for it. And these teams aren't afraid of us. None of them are afraid of us. So that's something to be looking out for, is that these teams are afraid of us. The teams either in relegation or not in relegation. Everybody, all the other 19 teams, we are food right now. We are looking like food to them. And then here's something else to also keep in mind with this relegation battle, right? Is that you have a manager right now who's not looking like he's getting it. Is not looking like he's grasping onto the program. Is not looking like he's changing things up that the players and the fans are hoping to change things up to do, right? And you have to look at this as well. This guy is not going to be here long. These players know he's not going to be here long. All right. This is not some situation where you could just force everybody to get along. There has to be something actually there to make the players want to buy into this guy, because he's not going to be here for long. And some of these players are not going to be in here for long. So they're not going to be – a lot of stuff is going through one ear and out the other. So if you really want to make an impact on a player, you got to be saying something in that locker room. You got to be making some sort of impact either on the field or more than likely off the field, right? Because some of these players are on the beach whenever it comes to football. So if you want to bring them back, there has to be stuff that's going on off the field, whether it's off the field dinners, you're going out together, doing something to kind of help unwind, de-stress, right? Whether I don't know what it could be, but whatever Tudor is doing, first of all, it's not working tactically. It's not working. Second, what he's doing with the players doesn't really seems like they're catching on. Doesn't really seem like these players are up for the fight. Similar to what I've been saying and what I've been seeing from this team for years now, is that you see in that first 10 minutes when the other team is up for it and our team is not, you can see the players just do this. All right, let's just try to get into the second half, and maybe they'll calm down by then. Like you can physically see that on the players. You can see them go into that shell of, man, we weren't prepared for this. Let's just wait for the second half, and maybe the momentum will die down. They'll calm down. We'll get our heads back into the game, and we'll go again. You've seen this. I've seen this team give up in the first half for years now. It's going on years that they just give up in the first. It's not worth it. This team is up for it. They are more prepared for us. We aren't prepared. Our tactics weren't working. So might as well just not even try in this first half. Let's just brunt through this, and then we'll try to do better in the second half. It doesn't fly for me. It doesn't fly for me at all. And if Tudor is not gonna, I mean, from what we've been hearing, his approach has been pretty straightforward. And I don't want to necessarily say strict, but yeah, pretty straightforward, pretty blunt as far as these players are out of shape. They're not up for it, right? I'll pull up Tudor's comments here. Here we go. So Tudor's post-match comments, you can see here, not a lot to go off of, but he talks about the team's desire to win in the second half of Craven Cottage, but seeded it wasn't enough. Fulham ran 2-1. Damage done in the first half is goals. Okay, so he reflected, I'm not happy with the performance. Fulham were better. Second half, we started to push. In the end, there was a desire to win, but not enough. There was some positivity in the second half. Of course, you need to stay focused and work to progress. Doesn't this sound very familiar to the guy we just had? Wasn't the guy we just had saying this like verbatim? Listen, it was shit in the first half. Maybe some positives in the second half. Listen, we move. Another day, another dollar, right? This is what the last manager has been saying. So, did we really change managers? Like, is it really any different from what we're seeing now? Like, where's the difference? Where's the difference? Um, Asking about how difficult it must be. The idea is getting across with such a schedule. He said we need to be the best team that we can in difficult moments to stay all together, think positive, and keep working. So he says this in the interviews. Yes, he's not happy with the team. Um, and listen, he's very straightforward, very blunt. And if that approach is not getting to the players, then I mean, listen, we have some soft players on this team. Maybe, just maybe, and I think if I remember correctly, I think I called for a little bit more of a straightforward approach, a little bit more of a blunt approach with these players because I thought it was needed at the time. But maybe now, arm around the shoulder is needed. Maybe this is the moment where you just kind of have to cast away all your doubts. And as much as I hate to say it, maybe you have to be a little bit delusional and say, hey, we need to try to we need you guys to be the best that you can be. You guys are, a good team. You guys have this in your locker. You guys just have been having some bad luck recently. But hey, I'm a new manager. I don't know what's been going on. You have a clean slate with me, right? The fans are backing you. You pretty much have a clean slate with them. Just go out there and do your best. That's all you can. That's all we can literally ask for, right? We know there's injuries, right? We know we're in a relegation fight. Just go out there and do your best. And that's all anybody can ask for at this point, right? At this point in the season, we know we can only win maybe 1 or 2 games. We can only get points in maybe the next, not I shouldn't say the next 2 or 3 games, but we're only going to get points in 2 or 3 games of the rest of the games of the season. Just give it your best. Just give it your all. And hopefully, maybe there's somewhat of a positive. We can end on a positive note in the season, and hopefully we stay in the Premier League, right? Maybe that's just what he has to say and has to kind of lie and be delusional and do whatever he needs to do to weed and get through whatever that's in these players' minds that are making them just not want to play, that are making them bad, that are making them do these things. And listen, he also has to make those tactical adjustments as well. That's another thing as well. He has to play players in their natural position, and he has to upgrade some things in the tactical sense as well, because we're seeing the same styles of play. We're seeing him say the same things, and it's kind of looking like it's indicative of this horrible recruitment team, these people who keep picking the next managers, right? Because for whatever reason, yeah, we know that Vinay and Lange didn't want to fire Thomas Frank, but we do know that Vinay and Lange were in charge of hiring this guy. And if this guy's operating the same way, isn't that indicative of who they think? First of all, who Vinay and Lange think should be running Tottenham, and then 2, their ambitions when they're looking for a manager. If they're looking for a manager that's, first of all, both managers that they've chosen so far haven't been winners whatsoever. They haven't been winners at all. They haven't won anything. And the second thing is these managers have played virtually the exact same way. They played virtually the exact same way. So, and this guy is more known for playing in a 3 at the back, but he can't do that. So he's playing with the 4. So he's playing what it looks like similar to Thomas Frank as far as what the actual play and results are. We're still playing this long hoof it ball, right? The passing's not getting any better. The defense is not getting any better. We're just as open as we were with Frank, if not even more open. So we don't look like we're scoring any more goals. So it's like, is this not kind of showing that maybe the recruitment team has some of the wrong ideas when they're looking at these managers, and that maybe the ambition of the managers they're looking at is not where this team needs to be? Because regardless if you want to say this needs to be a project manager or a manager that's known and used to working with young players, if you're buying managers that haven't won anything and haven't done anything in their career, when they come to Tottenham, they're more than likely not going to win anything, and they're not going to do anything with their career, right? Us trying to provide the platform for the manager is not the best approach if you're trying to get success, and you're not setting yourself up for success. It's like hiring somebody at the ground level at McDonald's. if you hire a ground worker at McDonald's because you say, yeah, he's been around the fryers, he's seen the food in the bag, he's dealt with the customers face to face. If we get this guy in the CEO operations, he's going to give us the real deal, what we need, and maybe he'll change things up in the CEO position, and McDonald's will be better, right? But then once he gets in and he's in those meetings and he's looking at the sheets and reviews and financial analysis and all this shit, and he doesn't know what the fuck is going on, then you're going to be sitting there saying, well, maybe, just maybe, it wasn't the right decision to put this guy in. Even though, yes, he's worked at McDonald's and he's been on the ground level of McDonald's, if he hasn't done anything in the higher up positions, right? If he hasn't been a manager, if he hasn't successfully opened up his own McDonald's, if he hasn't made $1 million for a McDonald's company, how do we know he's going to be able to come in as a CEO and make these right decisions, right? And you can literally make that indicative of the guy we hired as CEO, right? Vinay Venkateshan. If he hasn't been the CEO of any successful team, how is he going to become the successful CEO at Tottenham? If he hasn't done it before, why do we think he's going to do it now at Tottenham? Especially when we're in a situation where we're saying, hey, we need to try to make some fucking sense of this because we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what the hell we're doing. So let's get the guy who doesn't know what the hell he's doing to come in, and hopefully if he figures it the fuck out, we'll just kind of be along for the ride and be like, well, yay, he did it. He became someone good. And guess what? He's here with us. So no, that's not any approach at all. So listen, I could rant on for hours about this situation. I'm just going to end it with this, right? We're going to end it right here. We're going to end it right here with this message. The relegation battle is real. Fans need to be prepared. That is the reality of the situation. Okay? If we do get relegated, there's only one of two things that can happen, right? You're either going to get one, this ownership is going to try to embrace being in the championship. They're going to tell the fans to embrace being in the championship, and we're going to become a Wrexham 2.0, where we're still going to be marketing. We're going to be the bridge of the celebrity and stars coming down to the Lincoln cities and the Bristol cities and whatnot, going down to their level to watch them play football and bringing the fascination of celebrities and the high echelons of what, clout they can bring to the lower levels of football. And guess what? The league championship, the English Football League, will embrace that because we'll just be a vehicle for money for them. So they're not going to sit there and be any attest to that. And if Tottenham can still make money from being that vehicle or work with the English Football League to be that vehicle of money, because we got the boxing matches, we got F1, we still got the stars and celebrities coming to the football matches, they're just watching these championship teams, then they'll sit there and gladly be the vehicle that's still funneling money, as much money as they can, into the championship. Because if they can sit there and say, well, if we can raise it, we can raise some money and how much we're bringing in, maybe it's not so bad being in the championship. And if the football is about that level, because it will probably be more competitive because we have championship level players. We play championship level football, so it's probably going to look a lot more competitive than when we're getting absolutely dominated and ran through in the Premier League, right? So it can either go that way, or it will be that the ownership will hopefully understand that there's no saving this investment from this point, or they have no idea how to save the investment from this point, and they will happily sell to the next bidder that's willing to put more than $3 billion down for a team that's in the championship. I think if you ask anybody, if you're selling a team in the championship for more than $3 billion, that you did a pretty good job. And you say that's a pretty good deal for selling a team in the championship, right? So, and I think as well, with Levy selling his share, and I think he had about a third, right? Levy sold his share, which is about a third, which was about $1 billion. So 1/3 is $1 billion, 3/3 is $3 billion. So yeah, if any ownership or any buyer comes in with 3.2, 3.3, 3.4, I don't think the Enoch children are going to bat an eye at that at all. And I think with them saying this team is in the championship, they know there's a long road to getting this team out of the championship and back in the Premier League. I think they'd rather just say, hey, let's just leave that deal to them, and we'll just focus on getting our money and everything. Well, that's the thing. A lot of this stuff is in Tottenham's name, I believe so. I believe a lot of the debt is in Tottenham's name. So once they kind of leave Tottenham, they'll just be like, well, we're good. We're $3 billion in the clear, right, from our investment. From whatever 100,000 to 3 billion looks pretty good to me, right? So, not 300,000 or 3 million to 3 billion looks pretty good to me, right? So, especially for a championship team, I'm pretty sure that's how that works. I think the debt is in Tottenham's name. So once Enoch sells, that debt is still in Tottenham's name, and they just kind of go off into the sunset. I believe that's how that works. But I digress. That's the two ways this kind of relegation can go. So first of all, it is a real thing. We need to embrace that it is a real thing. Second, there's only really two forks in the road that can go from here. You're either going to get this ownership that's going to put the PR machine into super mega overdrive and just tell the fan base, hey, embrace being in the championship, embrace playing these teams, embrace doing this because we're now the new Wrexham FC, right? We're going to have, now that we're in the championship, we can work with Paramount to get our own show, to get our own vlog, right? We could still work with the NFL. I'm not sure if they would still want to, but if they still have the NFL contract, they still have that money coming in. F1, they can still get people coming to concerts and all that stuff. So it could be a possibility. They just say, hey, everybody, we're just going to be a championship team for the next 5 years. We see a way to get money from this. Let's just see how it goes, and they may just embrace being in the championship, or what we all hope is that they'll just say, "Fuck it, we give up. We don't know what we could do from this, and if we can sell a team in the English Football League Championship for $3 billion, I think you're saying that's a pretty good deal for a team. I don't think any other team in the championship is worth that much. So even though they could have had Tottenham in the Premier League and sold it for $4 million or $5 billion, right? If you go down into the championship and you get relegated, you don't have to deal with the headache of trying to get us back into the Premier League, and you still make a good $3 billion. I say that's still a win-win. So those are two options. Hopefully it's the latter instead of the former, right? But yeah. All right, folks. Well, I just wanted to end it on taking the time to watch. You back, and you're such a nice person. Why don't you go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel? Hit the notification bell so you can see when I post, when I go live, when I'm going live, time and date. Again, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. But hey, you probably want to post. You probably want a notification on your phone to remind you. And you probably would like something that would lead you straight to the live stream without having to do all the searches. Well, if you hit that notification bell, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, that tool, that vehicle will be right there for you, waiting right there for you. So go ahead and do that. Feel free to share this video as well with any soccer fans, Premier League fans, Tottenham fans that you know, or anybody you just want to share content with and want to watch a video together with. Listen, folks, I appreciate it so much, you guys watching this. We're going to be back live on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time for another version of De La Spurs Live. This will be number 27, I think. We'll be doing a preview of the Crystal Palace game. Listen, the next game that, again, is what I see us getting points from. Just to kind of look at, actually, no, we're not going to go through all that. Listen. It's the next game we can get points from. It's a home game. I know the home form's been absolutely shit. All right. I know that our form has been absolutely shit. But again, this is one of the last few games that I see us realistically getting points in. So we have to band together. We have to get some sort of motivation, some sort of spark to get points in this game. And listen, we'll preview the Crystal Palace game. I'm sure with Tottenham in this crazy club, there's probably going to be some sort of mess that'll happen between now and Wednesday. So we'll be discussing it then. But until then, I will talk to you guys later. Peace out.